All right, take two. I was just halfway through this demo when an unforeseen bug popped up. So I just did a little quick fix, and here we are again. Anyway, my name is Christopher Dent. This is my Flatiron School Rails portfolio project titled Association Volunteer Manager. My first two Flatiron projects were based on sort of my own little hobbies and interests, paleontology, astronomy. But this time I wanted to build something that could actually help improve business efficiency in an actual work environment. Little background, I work for a nonprofit scientific association. My department, Standards and Methods, relies heavily on volunteer experts to bring our products to life. We have various tools right now that can track our volunteer activity, but they weren't really made for it. And in using them every day just becomes a search for workarounds. And it gets tiresome. A couple months back when I was completing my Sinatra project, right around then is when my boss mentioned that she was looking for some new software, something a little more simple that could help our department keep track of our volunteers and the groups that they make. I started thinking what she was describing wasn't really a far stretch from my Sinatra app, and thought maybe when I get through the Rails section, I could try to build something like that. So that's what I've done. I did stay in touch with my boss throughout the development of this to try to make sure it would be fit for our purposes. And it's got a ways to go before we would use it in production. Obviously, I'd have to deploy it, host it, and all that. And there are a few more features that I think we would need. But for example, reporting, I haven't included any way to create reports yet, but I've done some research and I'm pretty sure I could do that pretty easily. But anyway, what I have right now is a fully usable app that covers all the basics needed to create, read, update, and delete volunteers and groups. One thing to note here, one of the core principles of this app is that it would allow for collaboration between system users. Groups and volunteers do have user IDs attached to them, which will just show what user created what. But I don't want to limit modification of those records to that particular user. It would almost defeat the purpose of this app. But what I did do is I included an admin function. That is what would limit functionality for certain people. If you're an admin, you have full CRUD capabilities. If you're a non-admin, you can just read it. And with that in mind, people, for example, who were outside the company but were key volunteers, or people even from inside the company or from a different department that just need to have the information but not necessarily modify it, they could be non-admins and have full read capabilities. So I'm going to do the demo as an admin, but I'll go back and show you the limitations with non-admin towards the end. The models I've used, there are models for volunteer and group. They're in a many-to-many relationship. There's also a join table, group volunteer, which belongs to both of those, and as a user submittable attribute of statement of expertise, because each volunteer should have a statement of expertise applicable to each specific group they are on. There's of course also a user model, and users have many of all the above. So on to the demo. This is the home page, the landing page. OmniAuth is here. It works. You can also, I'll show you OmniAuth towards the end. You can also sign up and create a new account, or you can just log in using an existing account. I'm going to use my admin account I've been using. So here we are. This is actually the same URL. It just changes when you're logged in versus when you're logged out. Now you can see you're logged in, CJD. You've got a ton of options at the top that weren't there before. And you've got your options here. So I'm going to start by showing you adding a volunteer to the database. So this is adding a volunteer from scratch. Let's see. In my seed file, I've got historical figures. When I think of some, how about John F. Kennedy? John Kennedy. White House.gov. Sector is pretty important to my company. So in the future, if we do use this, this would be something we would base a lot of reports on, what sector they're part of. But I have it defaulted to say all new volunteers is active. I don't know why you would want to create an inactive one, but you could if you really wanted to. Or you can go in later and edit one to make them inactive. If you want to upload their CV along with creating a new one, you can do that, because technically all of our volunteers should have provided CVs. Got a fake CV file I've been using, so I'll just include that. And a little bit of nesting going on here. You can actually add them to one of the existing groups when you're creating them. I'll do that here. I'm gonna add them to the science program. So create volunteer. And there we go. Here's John Kennedy's view page. Edit only appears if you are an admin. You got their basic details here. You can view the CV here. And the list of groups that they're part of down here. I was gonna save this part. I'll come back. I'm gonna show you guys statement of expertise, but I'll come back to that. Before we go there, I'm gonna show you guys the all volunteers page. And there's also, of course, the delete function and the edit function. I'm gonna come back to both of those. First, I'm gonna show you the index of volunteers. So all volunteers will be listed on this page. And you can filter by group if you want, just a snapshot of who was on what group. There we go. Yeah, different rosters for different groups. So that alone, like, I think is a lot more efficient than what we've got right now. Just if you want a quick view of who was on what group. But speaking of groups, let's show you guys a little bit of the group functionality. So here's the group index page, pretty similar to the volunteer index page. Let's add a new group just as an example. Let's see, food safety working group. Make it part of that program. And so you can choose a chair. Some more nesting going on here. You can choose a chair of the group while you're creating them out of the existing volunteers. If you don't have the chair already in the database, you would select none and go back and update the group later. If you do, you might as well just assign it while you're creating the group. We just created John Kennedy. Let's make him the chair of this group. So when we create the group, he will be not only added to the group, but he'll be assigned the chair position. And that's an attribute of the group model. What kind of group do we want to make it? Food safety, well, it's a working group. So create group. Ta-da. So this is the group show page. Brand new group. So all it's got is one member, the chair. Shown here as chair. Gonna actually show you guys a different group that has some more people. I think this one, yeah. So this ERP, for example, the show page has got quite a lot of functionality built into it. I did a lot of my nesting on this one page. And instead of creating nested route to be like groups /10/volunteers, I've just inserted the volunteers that are on that group as a list on that same page. Why click to another page to see the list of people? I'd rather have as much information in one place as possible. So I've done that here. And I've also created two nested forms at the bottom. One is to quick add an existing volunteer to the group. So we've got a lot of people on here already, but let's add our new guy, John Kennedy, to this group. Add. And then he should show up. Yeah, he shows up right here in the list of group members. And you can also create a brand new volunteer right here. So this is the same form that you would use just to create a new volunteer from scratch. The only difference is we've got it set up that it will automatically add them to the particular group that you're looking at. So I guess we'll do another example here. Add. So now we've got a new volunteer, Lyndon Johnson. He's right here in the group roster. You can click on him to get to his profile page, which, by the way, does show that he's a member of this group. And now, one other thing I want to show you guys on this page that I think is pretty cool. So as I think I mentioned earlier, that I'm probably going to have to add some kind of reporting to this if it's going to be useful at all. But I was also kind of thinking, what do we use reporting for most? And that's usually really just for downloading a report, like a list of names, and extracting the email addresses from it to create an email block to email that group. And I figured there's an easier way to do that. Why not just have a way to email the entire group directly from the group's show page. So this is pretty much the newest feature I've added. I hope it's still working right. I've got the email this group feature. Click email this group and it should open up an email, with the email addresses in there. And it's got all the fake email addresses from my fake people right there. So if you need to communicate with your group, you don't have to go and download a report and extract all those email addresses. You can just click email the group right here from the group's show page and get your message over to them. So what else do we have going on in this app? We've got statements of expertise. So this is the statement of expertise index page, but before I go there, I'm actually going to kind of show you guys the process of creating one. So we'll go back to our new guy, John Kennedy. He's now on 3 groups based on everything we were just doing. Technically, he should have a statement of expertise for each of those groups to show why he's on it. So I'm just going to copy and paste something. So I'm going to add a statement of expertise for John for the science program. So you click add statement of expertise and you get to the new statement of expertise page. And this drop down here will show only the groups that person's a part of. So you can't add a statement of expertise for a group that they're not a part of. We said we were going to add one for the science program, so we're going to do. This is just some funny lorem with some stuff. I click add statement. Now back on John's homepage, you can see his statement of expertise for the science program. You can also go to all statements of expertise and you'll find it right there too. So on this page, this is kind of at a glance. I was thinking if we want to be able to kind of at a glance see our volunteers and what their expertise is, we can just scroll through this page and see if there's somebody we're looking for who has the skills for a particular need. You can filter this page so to make it a little easier to look at. You can filter it by volunteer. And it'll show you all of the statements of expertise for that particular volunteer. I think, Johnny Cash has a couple of them. Or you can filter it by groups. You can just see the statements of expertise for a particular group. Let's do fishes, for example. The statements of expertise for the members of that group are here. They don't all have them. They should. They will in practice. But science program, we should see. We'll see the new one we just created for John Kennedy. And then I'm going to start showing you guys some of the edit and delete functionality before we wind this down. So edit statement of expertise, that is pretty self-explanatory. Update this SOE. There we go, it's been updated. From here, you can also quickly go to the volunteer profile and to the group. I do both of those, but I'll show you that in a second. First, I'm going to show you this delete link. This link will delete the statement of expertise. Are you sure? Confirmation message, because once you do this, it can't be restored. I'm gonna go ahead and delete it. Now it's gone. All right, moving right along. We're back at the volunteer show page. I wanted to show you guys the edit functionality. So I'm not gonna make a big change here. I'll just add an F. I don't have a middle name field yet. You can change, this is how you would change their CV too if you want. They can only have one CV at a time. So if you upload something here, it's going to replace what we've already got. Update volunteer. Now his new stats are here. To modify the groups that he's on, you don't do that through his edit page. You'd go actually to the groups page and remove him that way. So here we are at the science program, the group show page, and I'm going to show you guys that we can edit the group just the same, say it was a governance body. And more importantly, this is another cool little nested feature I built a custom route for. You can remove them from the group right here from the group show page. You don't have to go into their profile or anything like that. You just one click, remove from the group, bye-bye. So he's removed from the group, but he still exists right here. but not for long because I'm about to demo the delete feature for you guys. Delete volunteer. Really? Yes, really? Now John is gone. Talking about groups again, science program, for example. John is no longer on it. Obama is still on it, but he's not going to be for long because I'm going to demo the delete feature for this as well. Delete the group. Are you sure? Yes, science program is gone, but just to prove to you that I didn't damage any volunteer records, Barack Obama is still here. He's just no longer on that group because it doesn't exist anymore. All right, winding down, the last thing I want to show you guys is just the system users. As I said, we've got admins and we've got other users. Admins can do everything I just showed you. Other users can just view everything I just showed you. They can't add, they can't edit, they can't delete. So the users in general, I decided to give them little profile pages because why not? I was actually just messing with how to add files, and this was kind of the example I was using was how to add an image. So figured why not? We'll add images to our user profile pages. So now I'm going to log out. I'm going to show you guys what everything looks like when you log in as one of these guys, a non-admin. Let's use OmniAuth this time. Okay, use my mom's account here. So looks the same, but Elizabeth is not an admin, so add volunteer, nope. Create a group, nope. View edit system users, yeah, you can do that, but you can't edit them. You can just view them. So you can see Chris is an admin, Angie's an admin. These guys are not. You can click here to view your own profile, so you're not an admin. You can view all the volunteers. You can even filter them. What you can't do is edit them. That little edit option gone. You can view their CV, their statements, but you cannot edit them. Same with groups. You can view them, but you can't edit them. You can email them. Figured why not? So again, you can email the whole group real quick like that. And you can view all the statements of expertise and filter them too. But again, you shouldn't be able to edit or delete. Yeah. I'm gonna make sure you can't delete. I hope you can't. Nope. Yeah, you try to delete it, it just returns you back to this page. So I'm thinking I should probably add a flash error message in there for that, but anyway, it does what it's supposed to do. Non-admin cannot edit or delete anything. I think that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed this demo. Hope it wasn't too long. Thank you very much for your time. Looking forward to my project review to show this off. I'm looking forward to continuing work on this in the future. And like I said, hopefully making it something that'll actually be useful one of these days. All right. Thanks again. Have a good one. Bye.